Hey guys, just wanted to give you a little video story today. Whoa, my camera's messing up. Um, this is a story out of our books at school, All Kinds of Animals, and it's about Great American Songbirds. And hopefully I'll show you some pictures next week of some of our birds that we have that come to our bird feeder. And I thought this would be a fun story to read about birds because this is the perfect time to be looking for birds, and you have time to do that. You can get out binoculars and look out your window for birds. Maybe you have bird feeders in your yard that they'll come to, or a bird bath, and you can see if you can practice identifying the different kinds of birds that you see. And many of them in our area are songbirds, and they're going to be migrating back through our area. They're already doing that. Some of them are already here to stay for the summer. Some are going to be on their way further north for the summer. But you'll see all kinds of different birds this time of year. So we're going to read about Great American Songbirds, and I'll show you the picture as I read. So words to watch for are cardinal territory. Territory would mean the area that they live in, the space they claim as their own. Cardinal is a type of bird. It's actually our state bird. This is a cardinal here. This is a male cardinal. This picture down here shows the male or the boy cardinal, and this is the female cardinal. Females, when it comes to birds, females are usually more subtle colors. They're not usually as bright and vivid as a male, and that's so God has designed them that way for protection, to help hide and protect their nest. So you can see the female has more greens and browns and just a little red, and the male has bright red all over. But this is a Virginia state bird, which is a cardinal, and we see lots of those in our area. So one of the most beautiful times of the morning is when birds begin to wake up and sing. They seem to be praising God as one giant choir. From the sharp chirps of the cardinal to the many songs of the mockingbird, each bird contributes to its cheerful chorus in the morning. Most people recognize the bright red cardinal, the colorful robin, which is down here in the bird bath. There's the robin. The robin's known as being a bird that's the first sign of spring when you see a robin. And a lot of times you see them out in the yard pulling up worms. So there's a a robin, or the pretty song of the sparrow. But there are many other birds out there also. God created hundreds of different kinds of songbirds. And although each kind is different, some facts are true about every songbird. Nearly every bird has its own territory. It has certain trees, bushes, and land that it considers its own private property. The bird will do its best to guard this territory and chase away other birds that enter it. Most birds seem to respect the rights of other birds. A bird will not usually invade the territory of another bird unless it wants a good fight. We know people like that too. Sometimes they like to get in your space and start to cause a fight, and it's best just to stay away. All songbirds are perching birds. If you see a bird sitting on a power line or clinging to the twig of a tree, you have found a perching bird. A perching bird has 3 toes pointed forward and 1 pointing backwards. And I can't do that with my hand, but 3 pointing forwards. 3 going forwards and 1 going backwards. So it'd be kind of like us having 3 fingers and our thumb. Picture that. That's what a bird's foot's sort of like.
I can do that.
It's tricky. I don't know. And they grab the perch. They can kind of make a fist and get around their perch. So that's a perching bird. They can grasp a thin twig or power line because of those special toes. All songbirds fly, and many migrate to warmer places during the cold months of winter. Songbirds enjoy eating a variety of nuts, seeds, and fruits, but they especially enjoy insects. So it's kind of good to have birds around to eat the insects out of your garden, maybe unwanted spiders, ticks, and fleas, things like that might be out there in your yard that we don't really want around. Some songbirds can eat up to 300 insects in one day. Wow. God gave each kind of songbird its own unique song. Find a quiet place outside and listen. How many different bird songs can you hear? Can you spot the different birds singing those songs? So if you go outside and you listen and pay close enough attention, you might hear a song or hear a bird chirping, and then maybe you'll see that bird, and you can start to identify the noise that each bird makes. And every species of bird has a different song. The study of birds is very interesting. How many birds can you name? Can you name any perching birds? Maybe you can think of a bird that you would like to study. As you learn more about birds, you will appreciate more and more the wisdom of our Creator. And here's some more beautiful birds, and very common one that we see around here. This is a blue jay, and he's a pretty blue. Now there's also a blue bird, but the blue jay looks very distinct because he has this pattern going down his tail, and he has a big tail, and he's kind of a big bird. He's a little bit larger than a red cardinal that you would see, and he has this point right here. I believe it's called pilated, meaning he's got that like tuft of feather up there at the top of his head. A bluebird does not have that. So give the correct word. This is the Think About It page. 1. A bird lives in trees, bushes, or land. This is called his territory. Good. A bird with 3 toes pointed forward and 1 backward is it perching, migrate, or territory? Good, it's perching. Perfect. Number 3. Many songbirds blank to warmer places in the winter. We all know birds do not hibernate. They migrate. Good job. And there's some perching on a wire. Or you see that a lot of times in the cities. A lot of times you see pigeons and doves perching on a wire. So see if you can identify birds in your neighborhood, in your yard. This is a sparrow. They're smaller in size. They are usually this brownish kind of color. There's also finches that are bright colors, like the yellow finch, which is yellow. Or they call it a goldfinch. How wonderful the first bird songs of spring sound to our ears. One of the first birds to sing a cheery welcome in the spring is the little song sparrow. Did you know there are over 50 kinds of sparrows? A song sparrow is easy to spot. Its white breast is marked with black or brown streaks that run together in one large spot of white in the center of its breast. Song sparrows like to build their nest in bushes or low trees. You will rarely ever find a song sparrow's nest in a tall tree, but you may find its nest on the ground, covered by the low branches of a shrub. Here is the nest, and it is protected from the wind and rain. So that's a song sparrow nest. And this is the song sparrow. And the habitat of the song sparrow right here, it gives us a key here to follow with some symbols. The tree is for habitat. The song sparrow is a type of bird that lives in North America. It builds its nest where there is shelter on the ground in bushes or trees. Its physical characteristics, meaning how its body looks, the song sparrows are 5 to 7.5 inches long. They can be red, brown, or gray. The colored streaks running through the bird's feathers help to identify it. They eat mainly insects and seeds as part of its diet. Interesting facts: song sparrows sing songs to warn unwanted visitors to not come near or to attract their mates. So they build these nests, and they make sure they protect those, and they hide them. They like to hide their nest because that's part of how they protect them. Sometimes we used to have a fern we'd hang on the porch when Luke was a baby, and every year we had birds that came back and they'd put a nest in the fern every single year on the porch. And it was really lots of fun to watch them, and we could peek at the baby birds every once in a while and take a look at them. They'd open their big mouths and feed me, feed me. That's what they were saying. So the song sparrow works to build the nest, and the father bird sings to her when she's building. When the nest is finished, it looks like a cup. The outside is made of coarse grass and the stems of plants. The inside of the nest is lined with hair and soft grass. The mother usually lays 3 or 4 white or greenish eggs that are speckled with brown. As she keeps the eggs warm by sitting on them, the father sings to her and brings her food to eat. He also guards and protects the nest. If an enemy does come near the nest, the father song sparrow will try to lead it away. Sometimes he will pretend to have a broken wing, flutter and hobble around, and he'll try to lead the enemy away from the nest. Then, just as the enemy is about to catch him, he'll fly away. Other birds may fly into the song sparrow's territory and may even try to bother the nest. The song sparrow feels just as it was, just as you would feel if a robber were to enter your home. They get really upset about it. The father sparrow will fight by beating its wings against the other bird and pecking it with its bill until he chases the enemy away. After the eggs hatch, the father and mother constantly fly back and forth with caterpillars, grubs, and insects for their hatchlings to eat. The busy little song sparrows do not know it, but they are also helping us get rid of many insect pests from our gardens. This job keeps both parents busy, for it seems the babies' beaks are always wide open, waiting for more food to be dropped down into them. So there's the baby birds. See 3 of them. And you know, they're born, when they're born, they don't really have any feathers on them. They have a tiny bit of what looks like fur. Or it's really, actually, their skin's real pink when they're very first born. Then they get these little fuzzy spots on them. And that eventually grows out and turns into the bird feathers. So these are some hungry baby birds saying, "Feed me." In about 3 weeks, the young song sparrows will begin leaving their nests, and they'll start finding their own food. When cold weather comes, they'll probably fly south for the winter, which is migration. In the spring, they will return with their cheery song to gladden and warm our hearts. And do you know, that in the Bible, on Matthew chapter 10, verse 29, it says, Are not 2 sparrows sold for a farthing, and one of them shall not fall to the ground without your Father? But the very hairs of your head are numbered. Fear ye not, therefore, ye are of more value than many sparrows. It takes 4 farthings. It's hard for me to say that word, but that's in that Bible verse. It takes 4 farthings to equal 1 penny. In Bible times, 2 sparrows could be sold for 1 farthing. Jesus said that even though a sparrow wasn't worth much, not one of them could be hurt without God the Father knowing about it. If God cares this much for these little birds, just imagine how much He cares for you and for me. And that's amazing. So we're worth a whole lot more than a farthing. And He loves us very, 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 very much. So if you get a chance, start looking for some birds. We've got, Luke just looked up sparrow, and I know the words are backwards, but there's a page in his bird book on sparrows. See how it says sparrow at the top. So most bird books, I
have to go through every single
This
chapter.
is Eastern Birds. We also have Field Guide to Birds of North America. We live in North America, so this would have birds from North America in it. But these are kind of like encyclopedias of birds, and kind of like a dictionary too. They have guide words up at the top that help you find the bird species you're looking for if you know the name. And lots of pictures of the different birds. Oh, I saw an owl there a second ago.
Me too.
Let's see if we can find. Oh, there's a pretty pheasant. Turkey, quail. Remember when quail came and visited us? When Miss Stevens, Noah's mom, brought him, and we went and looked at the quail in Miss Elliott's class. There's some quail. If you guys forgot to tell your parents about that, you could tell them about that. Scavengers, which are buzzards and things that come down and eat dead animals and things off the road. They're designed by God to have a special job. Owls. So we have all different kinds of birds in this book, from songbirds. There's the tufted titmouse and the chickadee, which I see a lot of times at my bird feeder. Okay, so you can if you have a bird book like this, you can look them up. There's the yellow finch I was talking about. Lots of different pretty birds here in this book. Red-winged blackbird. My grandmother loved birds. She had a bird feeder outside of her kitchen window. And she taught us how to identify a lot of the birds that came to her feeder as we were growing up. We loved to watch them. It can be fun to watch and identify them and listen to them and to feed them. It's fun to see them come and be excited over their food. I will send you some pictures this week of our bird feeder and some of the birds that might be caught visiting it. But you can use informational books like this to look up information about birds. Again, it tells the habitat. It might tell where they live on this map, what kind of weather they like, what kind of food they eat, what kind of regions they live in. There's all kinds of information in these bird books. But if you don't have a bird book, you can also look it up online and maybe figure out what kind of birds you see on your feeder. All right, see you guys later. Hope you like the story. Watch some birds.
Bye.
Bye.